So this example is going to be showing you how you can create a custom function. So there we've got our average range function. Using Google Apps scripts, we're going to loop through the number of rows that's being returned back within the selected range, the number of columns that's being returned back within the selected range, add the values together, and then count how many cells are being added into the total count. And then we do a return of the value, and this return is going to be reflecting the value that we've got within that cell that was selected and that has a formula within it. Go ahead and open up your sheets, log into your Google account, and we're going to be using a bound script. So bound scripts can be accessed under extensions, app script. I already have the bound script editor opened over here. So let's go ahead and we're going to create our custom function. And what we want to do is we want to make an average of the range that's going to be selected. So we're going to uppercase this as average range, and it's going to be taking in the range parameter within the arguments. So let's start out by setting up a value, and the value is going to be the sum. So this is going to be a running total of all the values within the range. And then we also need to have a count, and what the count will do is this is going to count how many items that we're going to be adding into the range. So setting up a loop, we want to loop setting the value of I to 0 and looping through while I is less than the range length. So it's going to return back an array of the cells values, and the array is going to automatically have a length within there. So for right now, what we'll do is we're going to increment the count. So increment the count by 1, and what we'll do is then return back the value of the count. So that way we can see the results within the sheet being output. And again, the function is going to be average range. Just make sure that we copy that properly, save that, and now let's access that. So we're going to access it within the formula within the cell. So there's the average range, and then it's going to be expecting some parameters there, and it does have to have no space there. So within the parameters of the range, let's select some cells and then select that, and what it did is it returned back the number value that we've got for count. So we want to actually take that value and select all of the items. So right now what it's doing is it's only counting the number of columns. It's not counting all of the cells, and we want to increment and count all of the cells. So that's why we need to add in another loop within this loop, and this is going to be counting the number of columns. So this is the range with an index value of I and length. So this is being returned back as an array, and then because it's an array, then we can check and we can select the value from those items within the array. So selecting J incremented by 1. And so now let's add that in count, and we save it. And we'll go back to the spreadsheet, and we see that the count now has updated because it's also counting that we're starting in row number 7, but it's also column number B. So that's going to be returning back 12 items that are going to be within the range. So we want to get those values of the item within the range, and we want to add it to the sum value. So go ahead and select adding in the sum. So incrementing the value of sum. So this is coming from the range, and this is the range row, and J is going to be the range column. And actually I'll update these as well to reflect it, that this is going through the row, and then the row value is incrementing. And let's update this as well to be row. So this is where we've got the row, and then this is going to represent the column. So J was representing the column. So I'm just adding in more meaningful variable names. And hopefully we got them all changed over. And so that's going to be representing the column. So it's still going to be 12. If we update our range, so let's do 3 columns, and we're going to return back. And actually let's update that again, because that also came out to be 12. So let's reselect and grab a new range that we can use. And this time, let's make a range like this. And it's also adding up to be 12. We can update this manually as well. Or if we want to have A6 to C12, so it's going to return back 21 results. And let's take the value of the sum. So this is, the sum is just going to be returning back all of the results. So adding them all together, and if we want to get the average, we can use the count value. And so now this is going to be returning back an average value for those. And here you can also use the math floor. So you can use the JavaScript functions. So that will round it down, or you could round it up depending on what you want to do. So rounding to the ceiling is going to round it up, floor is going to round it down. So this is how you can create a custom function using Google Apps Script and interact with the data from your spreadsheet.